Tonight, a community is mourning the death of a Myrtle Beach pastor's wife. We speak with the pastor about the loss and her friend who's calling for a deeper look into her death. Plus, Horry County leaders voting down an amendment that would preserve more green space as the county grows. We have a breakdown of the proposal and where it goes from here. And the South Carolina Senate passing a gender-affirming care bill, what it includes and what's next for the legislation.
Working for you. This is ABC 15 News at 7.
First at 7, a church community in mourning after the death of Micah Miller, the wife of a local pastor. She died last week at the Orem community. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office says they're actively investigating how the 30-year-old died. Her obituary says she's from the Myrtle Beach area. She's survived by her husband, the pastor at Solid Rock Church. John Paul Miller says her death was a suicide, although a cause of death has not been released. Many of her friends are struggling to come to terms with that.
This has to be at least looked into deeply. There's got to be some accountability here because, it's a tragic life was lost, and it's not just as simple as somebody had some mental issues.
Miller says his wife battled mental health issues for years, even speaking openly about it to the congregation.
She had struggled with suicide before, and each time, helped her through it, took her to her doctor, and we got through it, and everything was fine. And she even gave a few testimonies here at church. We have on video of times where she had battled suicide, but God took care of her and got her through it.
A memorial for Micah will be held Sunday at 3 p.m. at Solid Rock Church. A group of her friends are also meeting there at 9 a.m. to hold a Justice for Micah rally to bring awareness to her struggles. We filed FOIA requests with the Robeson County Sheriff's Department and Horry County Police Department for more information on this case. A man was arrested after barricading himself inside a home on Gardner Drive in Hartsville. Joshua Jordan is facing an initial charge of obtaining goods under false pretenses and an additional kidnapping charge stemming from yesterday's incident. Police say no one was harmed during the standoff. A suspect in a Darlington County shooting has turned himself in to law enforcement. According to police, it happened yesterday on Johnson Street in the Hartsville area. A woman was killed, but her identity has not been released. The suspect is currently in custody, being treated at a local hospital, and has multiple charges pending. Police say more information will be released once charges are filed. It was a beautiful day across our area, but fog is set to settle in tonight. Let's send it over to meteorologist Alex Cordero, who's tracking it all out. Alex?
That's right. We're starting off with still a nice sunny setup as the sun gets ready to set. Beautiful looks all across the Grand Strand from Murrells Inlet and Garden City up to Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach. Looking nice out there. Temperatures are still fairly warm. We're in the 70s, 80s further inland, 85 in Florence, 86 in Darlington, Bennettsville, and Laurinburg. Of course, when the sun sets, those temperatures will continue to cool on off, but it's going to be mild and the humidity out there is elevated. Now, we haven't had any rain, but still the moisture content in the air is elevated. I'm sure you felt it when you walked outside. It has felt quite muggy. That presence with temperatures falling to the 60s, that means that we'll start to see the air, what we call saturate. And when the winds calm down, that allows the moisture to condense. You'll start to see fog forming. Temperatures will be in the lower to mid 60s, and that should allow for quite a dense foggy episode tomorrow morning. Now, the earlier you wake up, the more likely you're going to encounter this. If you're an early bird who works early before the sun rises, it's going to be a little harder to see out there, so make sure you give yourself plenty of extra time just in case you have to slow down, especially in poorly lit roads where it's going to be hard to see across a good chunk of the region. The good news is we should have plenty of sun tomorrow. We'll have a look at just how hot tomorrow gets in just a bit.
Horry County Planning Commissioners pumping the brakes on what some on County Council call a compromise as residential growth moves into rural Horry County. They voted down an amendment for a new zoning status that allows smaller home lots in order to preserve green space. ABC 15's Joel Vasquez was there and joins us live outside the Horry County Courthouse. Joel?
Connor, it's called a multi-residential preservation district. Now, this would allow for multiple types of housing types like apartments, townhomes, and single-family homes. Now, it also shrinks the lot size and requires more trees and green space buffers around the development. It requires 20% of a project's land to remain vegetated. It also requires developers to maintain 30% of tree inventory once the project is completed. However, Commissioner Jody Prince says more needs to be clarified and adjusted. That's why he voted against the proposal.
I think it needs to slow down just a little bit. I'm not going to be able to vote in favor of it today.
All right.
And at some point, I'm also going to put an additional home.
With that, but you come and stack up 2 trailers on, please, sir. Norris Miller, 3599 Cedar Lane.
All right, we seem to have lost connection with Joel there. We'll have that story also coming up tonight on ABC 15 News at 11. Taking a look around the Carolinas now, President Biden was in Charlotte meeting with the families of the 4 officers who were fatally shot while serving a warrant at a home on Monday. Deputy U.S. Marshal Thomas Weeks, Charlotte-Mecklenburg police officer Joshua Iyer, and North Carolina Department of Adult Corrections officers Sam Peloche and Alden Elliott were killed when 39-year-old Terry Hughes opened fire on the officers. 4 other officers were injured. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation also announced that they plan to provide mortgage-free homes to the families of all 4 officers killed. A South Carolina circuit judge heard arguments around Planned Parenthood's request to block the state's fetal heartbeat law. The law bans abortions when a fetal heartbeat is detected, which happens around 6 weeks. The state Supreme Court upheld the new law in August, but justices noted there appeared to be 2 definitions of a fetal heartbeat. Today's argument centered around that debate. The state argues fetal heartbeat is the moment an ultrasound detects cardiac activity. The law also mentions when the major parts of the heart come together and repetitive rhythmic contraction begins, which happens around 9 weeks. A ruling is expected in a few weeks. The South Carolina Senate has passed a controversial bill banning gender-affirming care for minors. South Carolina could become the 25th state to approve a plan like it. It would ban gender-affirming care for anyone under the age of 18. It would not allow things like gender transition surgeries, hormone therapy, or puberty blockers for minors. The plan also would not allow Medicaid to cover the costs of gender-affirming care. Meanwhile, opponents say there's a lot of misinformation on the bill and believe lawmakers are taking away health care from children.
What this bill does is take away medical freedom from parents, from medical providers, from everyday South Carolinians. And it sets a dangerous precedent to strip parents of their rights to help make medical decisions for their children.
We are here effectively saying that irrespective of what you, the physician, think the standard of care is, that we're not going to allow you to prescribe something or do something surgically to a minor, someone under the age of 18 years old, okay? That's irreversible. We're making that policy statement as a state.
The Senate made amendments to the bill, so it will have to head back to the House for approval. The session ends on May 9th. People across the country are observing National Day of Prayer. Hear about a prayer service happening tonight in Florence for a community that's been rocked by violence. Plagued by violence is praying tonight for continued peace in their community. They've gathered tonight in honor of National Day of Prayer. Pastor Anthony Fulton and his wife Sarah organized tonight's prayer vigil outside the ball field in Terra Village. They've lived in Terra Village for more than 20 years. The Fultons remember when the community was rocked with violence. They believe prayer has been a big part of the evolution of the neighborhood.
But I thank God down through the years, you know, if you see something, say something. And so the people see and they say something, and now the community has gotten much better. The crime has gotten less.
The Fultons say they hope this prayer service will prove to bring the Terra Village community closer together. National Day of Prayer started in 1983 and has been held every year since then on the first Thursday in May.
Should there be graduate ceremonies based on identity? I'm Janae Bones in Washington with a look at the controversy.
Consumer news. Changes are possibly coming to customers of Duke Energy Progress. The company is proposing a cost reduction in their annual adjustment. If approved, home energy bills would decrease more than 4% starting in August. meaning residential customers who use 1,000 kilowatts per month would see a $6 difference in their bill. The proposed rate changes would impact 175,000 households and businesses, including in Florence, Sumter, and Darlington counties. In other consumer headlines, you'll want to check your refrigerator or freezer if you bought ground beef at Walmart recently. Over 16,000 pounds of Walmart ground beef is under recall because it could be contaminated with E. coli. The meat was shipped to Walmart stores across the country. The recall affects several products, including both patties and trays of ground beef, ground chuck, and ground sirloin. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said you should throw away the meat or return it to the store where you purchased it. So far, there have been no reports of illness. The Commission on Presidential Debates pushing back against claims the first presidential debate won't happen until after many have already cast their ballots. When it first announced the schedule last year, the nonpartisan CPD says it took into consideration holidays, early voting, and other factors when putting out the schedule, which has the first debate scheduled for September 16th. Election Day is November 5th. This after Donald Trump's campaign called that timeline, quote, unacceptable. The majority of states won't start mailing out absentee ballots by the first debate. It remains unclear whether Donald Trump will accept the 2024 election result if he loses. In an interview with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Trump says, quote, if everything's honest, I'll gladly accept the results. If it's not, you have to fight for the right of the country. The former president maintains he won Wisconsin in 2020, though it's been proven President Biden won Wisconsin by about 21,000 votes. Republican attorneys general tee off on a new Biden rule requiring firearms dealers to run background checks on buyers at gun shows. 26 of them are filing lawsuits in Arkansas, Florida, and Texas, looking to block the enforcement, arguing it violates the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The so-called gun show loophole has allowed tens of thousands of guns to be sold every year by private sellers who don't perform background checks. Biden officials believe the rule will withstand legal challenges. Democrats may not save Mike Johnson from getting ousted as Speaker of the House after all. According to CNN, some Democrats say they won't vote to kill the motion to vacate, including Representatives Robert Garcia, Jamal Bowman, and Pramila Jayapal. They argue they can't vote to help him in good conscience because of his policies. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats will vote to kill the effort, but he's non-committal on if they'll keep saving Johnson after repeated attempts.
We've made clear this is a vote of conscience, a procedural vote on a motion to table, but also a vote of conscience that every single member of the House Democratic Caucus will make a decision on based on their assessment of the situation.
Still, there's a chance not enough Republicans will support the effort to oust Johnston either. In addition to protest chaos and graduation ceremony cancellations, there's another issue brewing across the country on college campuses. Should there be special graduate ceremonies based on identity? The National Desk's Janae Bowens has more on the controversy.
Conservative college watchdog group Campus Reform is calling out colleges and universities hosting what they call segregated graduations.
That's just the cherry on top of 4 years of liberal indoctrination where they're trying to separate everybody and create this us versus them mentality.
Campus Reform's Cage Sawyer says these ceremonies are doing a disjustice to the students. For example, Youngstown State University held a lavender graduation celebration for LGBT identifying students. The school says the ceremony acknowledges their leadership success, achievements, and contributions. The school will also have a Black graduation ceremony to honor the achievements of Black and Brown students from all corners of the diaspora and to acknowledge the supportive environment fostered by YSU, enabling our students to thrive amidst challenges.
These liberal college administrators are so hell-bent on forcing division between students, where by the time they leave these four-year institutions, they don't even know each other, they don't even know the stories of each other. And that's what I think is sad in this whole situation.
Scholar and author Dante King disagrees.
Black people were made to have separate ceremonies, were required to have separate ceremonies, and could not be in the same spaces as white people for the majority of this nation's history. It is entirely absurd that people would be targeting these graduation ceremonies and trying to paint them in anything else other than people who are taking pride.
These special ceremonies have been going on for years. Advocates say the divisive political climate is why they are currently being targeted, but critics say they fear this separation will spill into the corporate workforce. I'm Janae Bowens reporting.
Across the area for Friday afternoon. Again, after starting off on the foggy side, which it will for some in the morning, we're going to warm up pretty nicely with plenty of sun for the afternoon come Friday. Numbers in the mid to upper 70s along the Grand Strand coast. Once you get west of Highway 17, it warms up quickly. We're talking lower to mid 80s across inland parts of Horry and Georgetown counties. Further inland, it gets even warmer, around 87 to 88, maybe 89 or 90 for tomorrow. Very warm. I'd say it's hot out there, no doubt about it, for the forecast on Friday. Now, heading into the weekend, opportunities of rain will return. I'm not expecting a washout, but truly, with this cold front coming in from the west and the heat present, it's going to feel like summer out there, which means warm, muggy, and afternoon showers and storms. But they may not just be relegated toward the afternoon. I'm thinking late morning rain as well, courtesy of this front, adding just enough extra influence for some rain. Now, I think on Saturday, it's more just the environment will be in, warm and muggy. But as that front gets a little closer into Sunday, I think it'll help to enhance the rain chances just a bit more for the PD. As you can see, more inland spots getting rain. Either way you slice it, both Saturday and Sunday, no need to cancel any outdoor plans, but do understand both days have a chance for showers and thunderstorms, and it's going to be warm otherwise. So a nice precursor to what you'll see on any given summer day, minus the heat. It will be warm, but it's not going to be as hot as you know summer can very well be. 77 to 82 is expected on Saturday, 77 to 83 on Sunday, with mild temperatures at night in the mid-60s. But the big deal, of course, is later after Sunday, as this ridge of high pressure, which we currently kind of have, situates itself more so over the Gulf of Mexico. If this were to, say, nudge up to the I-10 corridor, you'd be looking at some very, very hot temperatures. Either way, it's going to be hot. Temperatures will warm up with a persistent wind out of the west thanks to that hot. You can see that with the Grand Strand. Upper 70s through Sunday. Not bad. Near or above average. And then 80s after Tuesday. So that's 5 to 8 degrees above average for the Grand Strand. Remember, the water temperatures around 74, which are increasing, are still going to help to keep areas along the coast a bit cooler. 86 being cool means that we'll have numbers much warmer by comparison further inland, where I think it's anywhere from 90 to 92 degrees. And I think even hotter. The possibility is definitely there. For now, we're calling 91 and 92 by the middle of the week, but don't be surprised if those numbers trend upward.
ABC 15 News' Salute to First Responders is sponsored by Easton Industries, celebrating 50 years in business.
Every Thursday, we take the time to give a shout out to the heroes in our community. In today's Salute to First Responders, join us in congratulating Chief Bradley Kemp with the Myrtle Beach Fire Department for his promotion to Deputy Fire Chief. Chief Kemp began his career with the department in 2005, serving as a firefighter paramedic before advancing to shift lieutenant and then shift captain. Congrats on your promotion and thank you for your service. If you know a first responder who's dedicated to serving their community, just head to our website and look for the Salute to First Responders section under the Spotlight tab. Submit a picture and a few sentences telling us why they're a hero. Some new travel destinations tonight out of MYR, what airline they're a part of, and where you can take the family on a getaway this fall. Some new travel destinations are set to launch out of Myrtle Beach International Airport this summer. Breeze Airways is adding 2 nonstop service flights to Hartford, Connecticut and Charleston, West Virginia. Flights to Hartford started today and flights will happen Thursdays and Sundays. Flights to Charleston, West Virginia are available Mondays and Fridays. Those flights will begin next Friday, May 10th. All right, here's a look at what we got coming up tonight in prime time. At 8 o'clock, it is 911 followed by Grey's Anatomy. At 10 o'clock, it's Station 19. Jimmy Kimmel Live starts after ABC 15 News at 11. And here's what we're working on for ABC 15 News at 11. Horry County officials voting down a new zoning district. Why some are against the proposal. We'll have that and more for you tonight at 11.